The following is a presentation of the Sovryn Tech podcast feed.
Time for another Sovryn Shorts, where you get to get into, I get to get into just a quick subject that has come up, whatever that happens to be. Be it a news story, it could even be a product, it could be all kinds of things. In fact, this is talking about a product. So I recently did my review of Windows 11, the final build of it that came out on October 5th, technically October 4th, but October 5th, 2021. Something else that came out that week was also announced during the Windows 11 event back in June of 2021. And that is the Ocean Plastic mouse from Microsoft. Now, while a lot of people understandably, laugh at Microsoft's software or operating system, their hardware is really not so much the laughing matter. I would argue, regardless of how you feel about, if you're a Linux user like me, whatever you happen to use, to this day, I think the Microsoft IntelliMouse, which has been around for decades, and they even brought it back a few years ago, is probably the greatest mouse ever made. Just flat out. It's awesome. The design, everything about it, even being USB, it wasn't originally USB, right? It was originally PS2. But, being wired, all that stuff, just perfection. Okay. And for once, I've talked often about how we can innovate beyond perfection. For once, Microsoft realized, a few years ago, well, actually, we already made the perfect mouse, so let's just release it. And they re-released the IntelliMouse, this time with USB instead of PS2 for the connector, which, I applaud. So Microsoft's hardware overall, their mice, their joysticks, gamepads, the Xbox One controller and the Xbox 360 before controller are basically industry standards now, for PC gaming and more. They really know how to make hardware. Software, we could get into a different conversation, in operating systems, we can get into a different conversations. But for hardware, they've got that nailed down pat. So whenever they announce new hardware, I take a look, it's like, okay, what do you got? Even though I think it's in their best interest to stick with, the designs, the brilliant designs that they've had over the years, and just don't try to improve, or at least don't try to improve too much on what has come before. So during the Windows 11 event, they actually opened this up. Of course, a lot of companies are trying to say that they're sustainable, blah, 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 and they set these ridiculous, by 2030, we're going to be this. And then, of course, in 2 years, they push it back to 2050, and, they're full of crap. Okay. But what intrigued me about this was that, so they announced the Ocean Plastic mouse very much at the opening. And it could be seen as, this is kind of bad. Every company's talking about sustainability right now, and the only thing you're talking about is a mouse. In fact, a mouse that, it's called Ocean Plastic. That's because they use recycled ocean plastic to make the mouse. But it's only 20% of the mouse, and not even that. It's not really 20% of the mouse. It's 20% of the shell of the mouse that uses recycled ocean plastic. Now, is ocean plastic a thing? Is it a problem that's out there? Yes, I think absolutely. I applaud companies that go out there and collect it, and that try to recycle in general and create gorgeous products out of that. And I don't mean cheap products. There's this idea that, something made from recycled materials is somehow inferior. I can give you example after example where that's absolutely not true. Where the product made out of recycled material may be more expensive, but also it's significantly more durable. Not going to get into an argument about microplastics and other things here. Certainly, that's a conversation that can be had. But in general, I applaud companies doing this, making efforts, even if on Microsoft, on their part, it feels like it might be a weak effort overall. So with the Ocean Plastic mouse, yes, it is only 20% of the shell that has been made out of recycled ocean plastics. The packaging it comes in is completely recyclable. Of course, where does that recycling go right now with China not buying the recycling and everything? Oh, conversations to be had there. But technically, it is all recyclable. Of course, when I received my Ocean Plastic mouse, which by the way, it was only, it's $25. This isn't like a Surface mouse where it's $100 or something like that. When I received it, it came in a massive cardboard box. And it's not a big mouse. Like, it's the size of more of their mobile mice. I'll talk about that. But it came in a gigantic cardboard box that I was like, well, like, that's nice that you made really tight, very, slim, recyclable packaging for the mouse itself when it's on store shelves. But when you ship the damn thing, you put it in this huge box that a tablet or even almost a small laptop could have fit in. Like, where's your recycling efforts there? But I don't want to belittle them. Like, no, I do. And I do it often. But I appreciate the effort to a degree. So we'll talk about the mouse itself, but certainly, those points are brought up first. So the mouse looks very much like if you've seen their mobile mice, not the slim kind either that started with the Surface line, but it feels exactly like mice that I've used from Microsoft for the past 15 years. They did not, again, here's an area they knew they weren't, there's no point in innovating beyond perfection. I love the feel of Microsoft's smaller mobile mice. Again, I've been using them just forever. And this has that. Now, it's not some kind of like high DPI mouse. It is a little loud. As far as DPI, it can go up to it can do 400 to 1800. Okay, so that's not getting into, gaming territory. Like, this is not a pro gaming mouse by any stretch. So, but, speaking of gaming mice, like I have been, Logitech, I think for a lot of people is their favorite company as far as making mice and hardware in general. Logitech's a company that I feel like they've started to try and innovate beyond perfection. Like their 703 series and some others feel like shit. They really do. I've been really disappointed. Other than the MX series, I've been disappointed with a lot of what Logitech has been putting out there lately. As to where with the Ocean Plastic mouse, again, it's that it feels too soon to call it classic, but it's a classic design. We'll say that. Feels right. There's none of the rubber on it usually that's on their mobile mice, but that doesn't really affect anything. It is a little loud on the click, which not surprising for a Microsoft mobile mouse. They've all been, other than the Surface mice, they've all been fairly loud. So no, not a big shocker there. The click wheel feels great, as they have forever. It is battery powered, not USB powered. I actually like that. They do make it a selling point for the Ocean Plastic mouse, meaning that you never have to throw away the entire mouse. You just have to exchange the battery, and the battery, has like 12 months of battery life from a single AA battery, which is really nice. It uses their Blue Track, so, you can use it on any surface, even glass. Microsoft really pioneered with that and have continued to do well. Again, it's an area you don't need to improve upon. It does use Bluetooth 5.0 LE. Okay, nice touch. It's sticking with the latest standards, even though it has that classic design. And, as far as usability, it does the job for me. As soon as I turn the DPI up to about 1600, it moves at the speed that I like. You have the Microsoft Microsoft Mouse and Keyboard Center. You can install that software, which lets you modify the DPI and some other things, what the buttons can do. So you get some customization options there. And then, it works just like you expect. And again, I love the thing. So I have these ridiculously sized man hands, double XL glove man hands. And you'd think I like a good large mouse. Now, actually I do. Okay. But it's got to be more form fitting as far as a mouse that I could actually pack away if I wanted to, and doesn't take up the entire mouse pad. I really like the small Microsoft mobile mouse because I kind of naturally do they call it the claw? There's names for there's like 3 or 4 different ways that you can hold a mouse, a computer mouse. And I hold it in a way where my fingers are not hanging off the front. So like I'm actually pressing the buttons. I'm clicking fairly far back on the mouse buttons. And when it's a smaller mouse though, my hand naturally rides higher. And so then my fingers they do end up pressing at the very end of the button where I like it to be, because I feel like when you press it too far back, it wears out the contact much sooner than it could, because when you start to notice that the button doesn't click as well further back, and you start clicking from the front more, suddenly your mouse is responsive again, like the day that you bought it. So I think there's a more natural way to use a mouse, and a smaller mouse actually gives me that more natural clicking feel. So I really like that. I know people would think that it's crazy, like why would you use a small mouse with those hands? But no, it allows me to use the mouse in a more natural fashion. So I dig it. This design is also ambidextrous. It can work for left-handers, right-handers. So you could say it might not be the most comfortable thing, but I've had even without the rubbers on, or the rubbers on, even without the rubber on the side, I think that I find it to be a perfectly comfortable mouse. And it always has been. Like I said, this is a design that I've used forever. And I love the battery life on it. I love that it's an exchangeable battery. When I say I love the battery life on it, I mean, again, I've used high-end gaming mice where I'm charging them like every couple days. That's crazy. If it's a portable mouse, that's insane. I also do like that it uses Bluetooth, and it's not using like Logitech's Uconnect where I lose a USB port. For that. I mean, to me, that's the advantage of a wireless mouse is keeping a port open on your laptop, right? It's not even so much, I mean, look, if you're going to game, if you're hardcore, playing whatever first person shooter or something, you want a wired mouse. Nothing's ever going to beat the speed and precision of a wired mouse. It's just not. Okay. They can claim all the numbers they want. It's never going to be, the nanoseconds matter, and you're never going to beat wired. And really that goes true for in my opinion, all technology. That goes true for gamepads, for speakers, for headphones, for go down the list. Nothing's ever going to beat a full-on wired connection. Okay. If it feels like it's beating it, it's cheating somehow. So if I'm going to have a wireless mouse, I want it to be one that connects with Bluetooth. That way, I'm not running into, and Bluetooth 5.0 like solves some issues. Like I noticed that with Bluetooth 5.0, like microwaves don't distort as much. They're getting it figured out. We could get into, some people have health concerns around the use of Bluetooth in general. That's a conversation that can be had. And if, you're in that camp, use wired mice. I mean, they're great, right? Or use the touchpad. That's fine. But all of this is to say that I have used this in fairly light gaming, and that includes real-time strategies, as far as games, and it does the job. Is it a Razer mouse? And, could it use a little more weight to it and everything? Sure. But really, it does the job. Okay. And, when you're being quick, if I'm going in for a full on session of gaming where I know I'm going to be more than 30 minutes or an hour, okay, then I'm going to break out a different mouse, right? And that's fine. I'm going to break out a full on wired mouse, that has weight options on it and, and higher DPI, the whole thing. But for my average work day, oh yeah, this gets me through with ease. And again, it's only 20% of the shell that's recycled ocean plastics. To me, that's better than nothing. I mean, if we lived in a world without government, I would hope that we're recycling as much shit as we can and not just pumping out crap, that can never be reused. So I dig it. I like it. I think it was a good move. You could say that it's not enough from Microsoft's standpoint, and that's a fair argument. But is it something that I appreciate exists as compared to not? Absolutely. It falls in that category. And again, it does get the job done. Do you see it as some kind of like a virtue signal, or, like it's just trying to make a statement that, oh, this person cares about the environment and things like this? Sure, you could say that too. But then I kind of hope we would all care about, the environment and be into solutions that have nothing to do necessarily with regulations, right? Because regulating actions as it pertains to the environment is going to do more harm than good. But actually offering things that, engaging in acts like, I mean, how brilliant is it, that El Salvador is talking about using geothermal energy to power the Bitcoin network? Fuck yes. Okay. So, fuck the government. But again, where there is, Bitcoin isn't the government, so when there are options out there, okay, that you can take advantage of, that, even do the little things like 20, like at least Microsoft is paying somewhat for getting, this plastic shit out of our oceans. Why not? I think it's a fine thing. So I'm not going to complain about this too much. And again, I think it works fine. Granted, it's a tried and true design. So it's really not a surprise. Arguments can be made around, is it really environmental and blah, blah, blah. Sure. But, for what it is, it works. It does the job. I'm happy to have it. And I go to work on it and do the business. What more could you ask for? So I will leave this Sovryn short at that, and I will see all of you, on the other side.